Don't worry, citizens. It's fine now. Why? Because I am here. Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy, and happy 4th of July to each and every one of you. And to commemorate our Day of Independence, I proudly present a special review on the anime Boku no Hero Academia, or My Hero Academia in English. Now, My Hero Academia takes place in a world where 90% of people have superpowers, which they call quirks. And we follow Izuku Midoriya, or Deku as most people call him, a quirkless teenager who dreams to become a superhero, but due to his lack of powers is ridiculed and discouraged by his peers and adults alike. That is until one day when he bravely, or foolishly, depending on how you see it, charges into danger without a moment's hesitation to save one of his classmates from the clutches of a villain. That All Might, the world's greatest hero, sees this act of heroism, saves both of them, and tells Midoriya that he will bestow his quirk called One for All onto him, making him his successor. And from here we follow Midoriya as he attends UA High School and trains to become the greatest hero ever. Now this anime was arguably the most talked about anime of the spring season. You couldn't go anywhere online without anime fans mentioning My Hero Academia and how fun it is and how cool it is. And all that talk got me really curious and really excited to see the anime for myself. And with the first season wrapping up last week and having seen it in its entirety, I can now share my thoughts with all of you guys. Let's get the obvious one out of the way first. The animation and art done by Studio Bones is solid. It's bright, colorful, energetic, fluid, and exciting. Exactly the kind of feel that this anime needs to give off. And of course, tying into the animation, the action scenes were very shonen-esque, meaning that they were grandiose and way over the top. But that's what made them so fun, thrilling, and exciting to watch. There is not a dull action scene in this entire anime. All of them really stood out. Whether it be a fight in the city or on the training grounds, they all were solid. And I mean, just getting to see all the various heroes utilizing and displaying their powers in full is never a bad thing. Now, the story in this anime is pretty basic, to say the least. It's the typical average character with no special abilities whatsoever that gets mocked and ridiculed by everybody around them, and no one thinks that they'll achieve greatness or amount to anything, but gets a chance to prove everybody wrong once they're bestowed these special powers or given the opportunity to show everybody what they're worth type story. But that doesn't necessarily make the story bad. In fact, I think that the story was very well told and I was invested into what was going on. What can I say? I have a soft spot for underdog stories. Not that underdog story! And I for one think you can attribute my fondness to the anime's underdog story to the many likable, relatable, enjoyable, and interesting characters throughout, especially when it comes to the lead of the anime, Midoriya, or Deku as many people refer to him as. You can fully grasp the struggle and the heartbreak that this character has been through over the years. Being someone who's always looked up to superheroes, idolized them, dreaming that one day he too may be a great superhero just like them and join them at the top, only to have your hopes and dreams completely dashed when you discover that you're quirkless. You have no powers. You are literally the bottom 1%. And yet everybody around you have their powers manifesting, and some of them are pretty cool, pretty awesome, and here you are with no powers. I couldn't help but empathize with this character and be heartbroken that his dreams of becoming a hero were completely taken away from him. And he had no support. Like, his mom wasn't there to support him, he had no father whatsoever, and all of his friends just mocked him for not having powers. So I can understand why the character can be a bit emotional knowing that his dreams are finally coming true. I would have been very emotional. I would have been tearing up like, oh my god, I've been waiting for years to hear that. And it was such a gratifying feeling to hear his hero, All Might, tell him the words that he's always wanted to hear. I couldn't help but smile and kind of tear up myself. And I can already hear you guys typing in the comments saying, actually, he didn't deserve the powers that he was given. He was just given it because he's the main character and he needs to have the superpowers and be incredibly awesome. That's why he got it. Bull. Bull, bull, bull. He definitely earned those powers. As someone who put his life on the line to save others, just like All Might noticed, I think he did deserve it. Now, could he have shown that he deserved the powers in another fashion? Yeah, I personally think that charging into danger and putting your life at risk isn't really the brightest idea to show people that you're heroic and you deserve incredible powers. I mean, there could have been other methods. Like, he's very intelligent, and you see these notebooks that he has where he kind of catalogs all the heroes that he sees and what their power sets are and what they do and how they maneuver. I mean, that could show you that he is paying attention and has a full grasp of what it means to be a hero, but instead it's just like, oh, this guy charged in, not knowing, not hesitating, you know, just doing it because he had the instinct to do it. It makes sense, but could have been handled in a smarter way. But still, he still earned it. And I do like this character a lot. I would like to see more development given to him as the series goes on. I also really like his relationship with All Might. It's a very mentor-mentee type relationship, and I do feel like they bond very well with each other. And All Might himself, he's pretty awesome. I love what he stands for, and I do love that they show that being a hero has its cost, as All Might actually suffers from an ailment, not really like a disease, but something happened to him that I won't give away that prevents him from being a hero all the time, and it actually shows you the cost of being a hero. I like that the anime addressed that, but it's actually pretty interesting and adds so many different layers to this character as well, and shows that no matter what injury he faced, no matter what dangers he faces, he will always put saving others above everything else. And I truly respect that, All Might. Another dynamic relationship that was explored in this anime is the blooming rivalry between Midoriya and Bakugo. And in my personal opinion, this is where the best drama in the entire anime lies, between these two childhood friends. And I use that term very loosely, because throughout the entire anime, I never once felt like they had a friendship, or at least they built a friendship. It's pretty one-sided, as Midoriya, a quirkless kid, really looked up to Bakugo, who had a really badass and awesome quirk of explosion. So you can't help but want to follow someone as cool and badass as Bakugo. And I really like the fact that once they got into high school and Bakugo sees that Midoriya has this pretty badass quirk himself, he feels challenged. Like, he's been lied to all this time and he's actually had a pretty awesome quirk. And he doesn't like being lied to, he doesn't like being saved, he wants to be number one. He has a really big ego. I like how they explore that with Bakugo the character. It makes him a pretty interesting, albeit really obvious character, which I'll get into later. And the last praise that I'll give My Hero Academia coincidentally deals with its last 3 episodes. Not only did these 3 episodes excel in almost every single element dealing with story, characters, action, animation, the whole works, but it actually did one thing that I rarely ever see in shonen action animes, and that's the fact that a majority of the characters were cooperating with each other, strategizing, and working as a team. In most shonen action animes, most of the characters, they're more or less lone wolves. They're the really powerful buff guys and they try to one-up the other person by being stronger or getting the last hit. It just seems like it's always like a pissing contest between the characters, like who's the most badass character, who has the best abilities, who has the coolest attacks. In this anime, they actually say, hey, let's use our abilities, let's work together and strategize how we can get the upper hand on the villains. If anything, that one thing helps My Hero Academia stand out from all of its contemporaries. But sadly, I do have a couple issues with this anime. One of the many issues that plague this anime, and this is a reoccurring issue that I've seen in many many shonen animes to the point where I can no longer just stand idly by and ignore them as just, oh, it's not really that big of a deal. It's a nitpick. I mean, it is a shonen anime. No, I'm done giving that excuse. I am done standing by and not saying anything. Now I must state this and it must be corrected. And that is the many shonen anime cliches that are throughout this anime that I personally cannot stand anymore. And I know many of you are already typing in the comments, this is a freaking nitpick. It doesn't really detract from the anime. And stop just saying cliche as a problem, Tony. Why not actually state what the cliche is that's such a problem? You can't just say cliche and that's the problem and just think we're just gonna accept that. Explain yourself. Okay. I will list out some of the many cliches that are in this anime that I personally cannot stand in shonen animes anymore. The biggest one being the Exposition Overload, where a character will have to spell out every goddamn thing to the audience, like, oh my god, that character has this power that can make them do this and this, it's so incredible. It's like they're giving commentary to something that you can visually see for yourself. You don't have to tell me what's happening. I see it. I've witnessed it. You can't just cut to another character explaining the scene that we just saw that very moment. And kind of tying into that, the unnecessary and pointless flashbacks. That's another cliche that happens in many shonen animes where a character will have this flashback to a moment that happened literally 3 episodes ago, or maybe even just a couple minutes ago. And you're sitting there like, why am I seeing a flashback to something I have seen before? Literally before. We don't need this flashback. And the reason I bring this up is because I'm starting to realize that the reason that the creators do these unnecessary exposition, unnecessary flashbacks, it's not to add to the story or to further the story in any way or enhance the experience. No, it's to pad the runtime. It's literally there as padding. It's filler within the episode itself. And that is just some bullshit. Sorry if that part turned out to be a bit of a tangent. I didn't mean for it to turn out that way. It's just, this has been something that was building up inside of me for so many years. After seeing so many shonen action animes commit the same mistakes repeatedly over and over and over again, that I just had to let it all out. I had to speak my mind, and unfortunately, My Hero Academia was caught in the crossfires and it got the brunt of most of my frustration. I apologize, My Hero Academia. You're not the only one at fault. All of shonen action anime is at fault here, not just you. Another major issue I found with this anime was the obvious foreshadowing of Bakuyo's future. Now, I won't say what it is in this review. Instead, I'm gonna show you examples and I'll make you come up with your own conclusions. But I promise you, it's pretty damn obvious what they're setting this character up to be. I mean, first off, look at the character's design. Look at that scowl. Look at his anger. Look at his face. And then look at all the various actions that he commits throughout the entire anime. Look at this scene where they're in a training simulation and the way that he is literally attacking Midoriya very emotionally, very ruthlessly. And even the way that some of the characters see him personally.
先生、止めた方がいいって。爆豪あいつ相当クレイジーだぜ。殺しちまうぜ。ヒーローの所業にあらず。動くな。怪しい動きをしたと俺が判断したらすぐ爆破する。ヒーローらしからぬ言動。
I mean, I cannot be the only one who felt like the creators were just beating us over the head with this obvious foreshadowing as to what Bakuyo's character's gonna turn out to be. I mean, we get it. We know what direction the character's going to take down the line as the series goes on. And me personally, I wish that they hadn't made it so damn obvious. I wish they would have been more subtle about the character. Kind of take a whole Sasuke approach with the character, instead of making it blatantly obvious as to what's going to happen to the character way down the line. And I know that this is a shonen action anime, so subtlety isn't really their forte, but I know and I have seen many shonen animes that are able to handle subtlety quite well. And the last issue that I had with this anime, and I know that they may fix this particular issue in the second season, which will be coming soon, but that was the lack of character development and fleshing out some of the characters and their relationships between each other. Like, there's this one girl in the anime whose name I don't really remember, but I do know that Midoriya refers to her as the nice person, and that's how I referred to this character throughout the entire first season. That's the nice person. And you know, she's cute, she's likable, she's entertaining to a certain degree, but she's kind of bland and stoic, and you don't really learn much about her. She could have been an interesting character, but she just turned out to be blah. And I never once throughout the entire anime felt as if she and Midoriya were growing closer as friends, or hell, even as lovers. I never felt a spark in their relationship. I never felt a blooming friendship or a blooming romance. Hell, I felt more of a spark and a blooming romance between Midoriya and Sue than Midoriya and Nice Person. But overall, despite its flaws, My Hero Academia is a solid and fun shonen action anime that I definitely recommend that people go check out. It is a 4 out of 5 stars. Definitely worth watching. Go see it for yourself. But anyway, what did you guys think of this anime? Did you love it to death? Do you think it's the best anime of 2016? Or did you find it really boring and dull, forgettable and cliche? You don't understand the hype behind it? And let me know who is your favorite hero or heroine character in an anime. Comment below, let me know, and stay tuned. I do have reviews for the BFG, Conjuring 2, and hopefully Purge Election Year with Ryan, so stay tuned for all those. I have some more anime reviews, and of course, my first top 10 of the month this Wednesday. Stay tuned for all those, and until then, guys, if you would like to see more videos on this channel and be a part of the Black Critic crew, please hit that subscribe button below. Like this video if you really enjoyed it. I'm Tony Watt II, celebrating the 4th of July in style as the Black Critic Guy. Till then, have a happy 4th of July, and peace, YouTube!